What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Layman's Review. And boy, do we have a good one for you today. We're taking a look at the Netflix adaptation of Neil Gaiman's beloved visual novel series, The SANDMAN.
Did not know existed, to be honest with you.
Well, apparently it does. And it's very
Surprise
popular,
if you didn't
and
know.
It's widely regarded as one of the best written comics of all time. And
So maybe I'll pick this one up and read it.
off the top, I was very excited because Neil was a part of the production of this show.
Which always makes for a better show, I think.
It does.
Whoever
Because
writes it or has the
who's better
investment.
to adapt a source material than the person who created the source material?
I couldn't think of anybody better.
Right?
Couldn't be the fat guy sitting behind a desk making up their own shit.
A couple disclaimers. One, we're reviewing this strictly as show onlys. We have not read the comic, so we're not coming at it from that perspective, trying to compare the two.
If you think it's worth it for us to read it, let us know.
Yes.
I'd be interested. I'm not a time waster, so if it'll make a difference in my life, let me know.
And also, we're going to be spoiling a couple things in the show, so just keep a lookout for that as the review goes on. But starting out, SANDMAN is a show revolving around multiple universes. There is the waking world, and then there are different domains that gods or entities have domain over. And that follows our main protagonist, which is Dream, a.k.a. Morpheus.
I prefer Dream.
He is the Lord of the Dreaming. And
Which
this
gets pretty
show
wild.
is a great representation of how to conduct alternate universes and make them all work together. Because
I don't know if it was alternate universes. I think they kind of exist at the same time.
Well,
Because Dream was traveling in between
how about
both.
different dimensions?
Yeah, let's go with that. Because then you meet others that aren't Dream. You meet others in the show that have their own realm or domain, but I think they're on the same plane.
No, I think they have their own.
Well, okay, so like they just
you have to get
travel
invited
between
to someone.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this season one, very much to me, what I got was an introduction to a lot of these characters, because a lot of them come in, you're introduced to them, and then they're gone.
You get a taste.
And I fully believe that they're going to come back later in the series, but for all intents and purposes for season one, they were just kind of telling you this person or entity exists. We're going to tell you a little bit about who they are, what they believe, and introduce them into the story a little bit, and then they're going away.
I mean, Lucifer's a prime example.
Exactly. Yes.
I think for such a big name, we've all heard Lucifer and we know what the role is, but you got a glimpse of her for part of an episode.
It was a full episode.
Right, it felt like it should have been
Her
more
domain.
for like
Hell.
her importance of like the gravity in which she has.
Sure. So I think that this show was the way I see it was broken into three parts. They were three distinct parts. The first part was Morpheus, Dream trying to get back his tools.
Correct.
That was
Story
he got
one.
out of his imprisonment that he was in for 100 years by a magician that tried to capture Death. Got the wrong entity,
Snagged the wrong
and ended
guy.
up keeping Dream imprisoned in this sphere for 100 years.
Because Dream would not cooperate, didn't speak,
Yes.
didn't do anything that they wanted to do, just laid there naked and stared at him.
And in 100 years, his domain fell apart, and so did the waking world, because sicknesses befell citizens of the world, where some people fell asleep and they
was so
never
cool.
woke up,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
some could never go to sleep.
Right.
Because he didn't have control over his domain anymore.
And if you didn't know, sleep is very important.
Exactly.
So
in the first part, he's trying to get each one of his tools, and it goes through one episode a piece until he gets to the jewel.
Yes.
Which
the ruby.
The ruby. I thought the story around the ruby was the most compelling of the three.
Oh, dude, I could have watched an entire season of just the ruby
I
gathering.
thought John, who had the ruby, I forget the actor's name. It's
We will get
escaping
better
me.
at this, we promise.
Yeah, we're gonna actually start writing them down so we don't forget them, because he deserves so much
Oh,
credit.
I
He
love
was
him as an
so
actor.
good. And the episode where he was in the restaurant and it was almost nothing but
24/7.
that was to me that was one of the best episodes of of any show I've seen in the last year or two.
And you wanted to like him so bad.
Yeah, because what at the essence of what he wanted was a more truthful world.
He wasn't a bad guy. He didn't want to just take over the world. He didn't want to destroy it. He wanted to make it better. And, as we've talked before, we've done other shows that we've talked about bettering the world. Sometimes you got to take the more harsh approach.
Well,
and this was.
it's very evident that his abrasive approach was not really.
It would have fixed the problem.
Yeah, that restaurant looked. By the end of that episode, you really saw some fixed problems.
Hey, people were having
AKA
sex.
dead bodies everywhere
they were
on
having
the floor.
sex. They were getting what they wanted. They were being honest. What's the number one thing in this world that we're not? Is honest with each other.
Well, discretion also matters. And telling the truth in every situation really isn't always the best approach. You don't have to lie, but you don't have to be blatantly
right. I mean,
blunt with
right. They just club
your delivery.
Somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in his perfect world, that's what would be required.
He was lied to as a kid.
And I was very fearful for the lady that was taking him around.
Oh.
You know, I did not want anything to happen to her or her dog. And thankfully,
Susie?
he gave her the amulet of protection. And I wonder if she comes back into play at one point.
It's got to. It's such a powerful object.
Exactly.
That it has to play a role some point.
So those 3 episodes, real quick.
Yep.
You liked all 3 of them?
Loved it.
The fight scene with Lucifer, my God.
Unique concept.
I was like, how are they going to fight? Are they going to punch each other?
They're gods.
And how do gods fight?
Right, they're like gods, so to
They
speak.
just teleport each other into these like beings, like these domains of existence to see who could trump
You
who.
one up each other from starting from base level, and then it like broke into like this whole nother world.
Only small gripe I had about that whole fight scene was that Matthew felt like he had to coach Dream about how to actually beat total and utter despair, when I believe Dream didn't need to be coached in that instance. He knew that from Jump Street.
Sometimes you just need a little bit of pep talk. Side note,
It was just something I didn't personally think was necessary.
Matthew's the Raven.
Yeah.
Crow. I think he's a Raven.
He had the comic relief to the season.
Yeah, and let me tell you, my least favorite part of this show was
The comic relief.
the comic relief. And honestly, as soon as that Raven spoke,
Surprised you said that of all people.
and Patton Oswalt, I know him. He's in a lot of things, but his voice is too comic-y, too jovial.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And it kind of struck me as odd when I first heard it. But I'll be honest, the more the season went on, the more I got used to him.
You get into the dream
and I
world.
actually liked him.
For sure. You grow
at
to
the end
learn.
Of it, I actually liked him.
You know, it's like the Raven or the Crow from Demon Slayer. You know what it is. What it is.
I can't do that voice.
No,
right
not
now,
right
but
now.
I was gonna try.
But you can always go
I'm
back
gonna
and watch
it right now. And then, so what it is so the next part of the season is like an interlude. It's 1 episode, and it is the most fascinating story of a man that says, I don't want to die. And if I could ever not die, I would show all of you that you could live forever and be happy. And Dream...
I didn't think that was a part of an episode.
No, it was a whole episode. Dream overheard that with Death.
Right.
Which started
their concept of death was...
It started in episode 5 when you were introduced
and it rolled over
Death.
and you met Death.
And then you met Death in episode 5.
Okay.
At the end of that episode, I believe, is when you're introduced to the guy in the bar who said this. And then episode 6 is his lineage through 400, 500 years of
600,
existence.
700 years.
I was so fascinated with that. I could have watched a whole... Talk about what I could have watched a whole season of.
The best 2 episodes was their adaptation of Death.
Oh my
and
God.
That story of time travel. And I'm a sucker for time. I just like seeing the progression of time, and where we have developed and adapted
as like society,
right.
and like how the bar changed.
Yeah. And it
yeah.
still stood where it was at this time that we're currently in. But back to Death, I think, my God, I've never seen a better version of Death. A, beautiful.
Yeah.
B, it wasn't like, when you think of Death, you think of it as like a scary
Grim
thing.
Reaper.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And you now got this visual thing of like, she welcomed
comforting.
you. Yeah.
Like almost the hand to guide you.
Yeah.
And instead of the
Beautiful.
one to take your life, and you know this is happening, and I'm here to like lessen the burden because you want someone there with you.
Yep. And Dream said it right.
And
like,
I actually
it's a smile
cried
on your face when you...
I actually cried a little bit when she picked the baby out of the crib.
Right.
Oh man, that
didn't expect that.
That struck me pretty deep.
It was their time.
You know, she said it. This is all you get.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but this is it. And
she
that was
makes
really a powerful scene.
She makes that choice for them.
And you're right. That episode was also an absolute banger.
Those 2, because and then he made a friend.
Oh, with the time traveler.
With the time traveler.
Because after a couple hundred years, you know,
we've seen once a century,
and his life goes through these ups and downs, and you know,
definitely ones you got to watch.
Generally, really loved. Even at the end of it, through the end of episode 6, still like thriving for life,
right?
And just wanting more.
What,
to see
what
where
do
life
we
would take
want?
him.
More. What don't we have enough time? We don't.
Well, because the common thing is, everyone says you would hate to live forever. No one would want to live forever. And maybe after 3,000 years or 10,000 years, maybe you would get that way. I don't think anyone would say if you added another 50 or 60 years on to life.
So let's say you're 700 years, and 100 of those years is bad. I'd say you had a pretty good life so far.
Yeah. Because maybe learned a lot of good lessons.
But anyway, we can go on and on about this. I would like to do a deeper dive on this show. Honestly,
yeah,
I think there's a lot more to it.
There is a lot more. You could almost dissect every episode.
Oh God, because they're an hour a piece, 10 episodes. That's a lot to cram into a review. So we're just going to try to keep this like
as contained as possible.
Yes.
And then so we get to the last storyline, right, which is Rose and the fact that she is a vortex.
You see a little more Corinthian.
And the Corinthian is much more advanced. So he's a presence throughout the show, but his storyline concluded at the end of the show.
And then what you see Corinthian, you see Galt. You see these the Fiddler's Green. You see the escaped nightmares.
And dreams.
What happened while he was gone?
For 100 years, their master left, and what do dreams and nightmares do if left to their own devices? Dream, Fiddler's Green, was what would life be like as a human? And he went out and did this. And Galt had this desire to be anything other than what she was created to do, which is give nightmares.
Right.
She wanted to provide dreams. And that concept was just so fascinating to me.
Right.
Maybe you aren't what you have to be. And to counter that, death was explaining that they are there for their purpose, and it's about accepting your purpose.
Because they're all there for a purpose. Dreams there for a purpose. Death, desire, despair.
The nightmares and dreams.
Everything that is involved, they serve a purpose. And I think, the creator of this made just a whole new look at these things.
Yes.
Just saw it differently than we've been force-fed for our lives on how we're supposed to look at
Except maybe
these things.
Lucifer. That was kind of like
that was
line.
Pretty much spot on, I guess. Yeah. I'm interested in despair and desire. And I'm interested in that duo.
Speaking of the two characters that we just were basically introduced to.
Right. A little sprinkle, but held so much power in the season.
And I honestly think, if I asked you who you thought the main villain of the show was, who do you think it was?
I'd say Corinthian.
Except, I think it was Desire the whole time at the end of the episode.
It absolutely was, but I don't think we were meant to think that in season 1. I think Desire is going to be season 2. Now, yes, like I said, Desire was the root, but this season was introducing Sandman and his nightmares, dream world, dreamland. But I think it was really focused on, Rose was a focus, and then Corinthian was a focus.
So I thought the slowest point of the season was 7 and 8. Where they're introducing Rose's story,
right?
Where they had those so many good episodes back to back to back that it kind of took a back seat for a minute, and then 9 and 10 ramped it up again.
Oh yeah,
and then you got to the episode where you had the collectors, the convention of collectors,
the serial convention, which was
serial convention.
The serial convention,
yeah, a bunch of serial killers who got together and
cool concept, creepy as shit.
It was,
but definitely
pedophiles and mass murderers and.
The Good Doctor, Nimrod, Funland.
Yeah.
Those were the 3 that we met. But there was a ton of others that were the Boogeyman that wasn't the Boogeyman. And then things like that. I thought that was a cool concept. I thought that was different.
I did too. I thought the ending was a little bit lackluster.
Right.
Because at the end, Dream just took Corinthian and said goodbye.
I'm glad you said that. And Galt. Both.
No, but Galt had a redemption. At the very end, when he remade Galt into a dream, I thought that, to me, was a much better...
Spoiler.
We already gave that at the beginning. I said disclaimer.
Yeah, I got you, but that was a big one.
When Galt was remade, I thought this was a better ending to a character than Corinthians.
Beautiful.
I thought it was beautiful.
So, too. Yeah. I thought it was...
But Corinthians was weak to me.
He was... I think by the end of it, you saw the growth of Dream Morpheus. You saw that growth through the entire thing. He was a miserable thing. I would be too if I was locked up for 100 years. Then you get out and then you learn, and Lucienne is the godsend to the dream world.
She was doing his job while he was
in prison. To. She was a goddamn librarian.
She stayed there the whole time.
Yep.
And I love Tom Sturridge as Morpheus Dream. I thought that...
I've never seen him in anything else.
But he played a terrific role. His monotone way of delivery. He's very quiet, kind of like how you would imagine the Lord of Dreams to be.
He just talks like that.
Yeah, but his scenes were so powerful.
And my God, though, giant size, hideous, man, hideous.
The who?
When he was giant, He was just a lot. He was a mellow Edward from Twilight.
I thought it played a much better role though.
Oh God, yeah. Well, yeah, but this I think he just reminded me of that character until later in the season. It really like grew into something.
I think it's time to get to Layman's.
Oh, I'm good for Layman's review.
Right,
I've been ready.
3, 2, 1.
Final round. Fight.
The Sandman is an S to me.
He pre-warned me of this one, guys, because he was just so excited.
Everything from the novel concept to the new, fresh adaptation of what things have to be, the character development that we got from Dream himself. Rose's arc was fantastic. Lucianne was a great character. Just the concept of the dreaming and reality and these gods that have these different domains. It was so fresh. We got... And as a season 1, this is the most particular point. As a season 1, your job is to create a universe that makes me want to continue watching, introduce characters that have good depth and great character progression, and make me very excited for season 2. If you can do all of those things in a season 1, to me, that is the epitome of what S is. That is, every episode, even if I had to go to bed, I was like, damn it, I wanted to watch another one. And I finished it within like 2 days because I just wanted to binge it and watch it as fast as I could. This was one of the best shows Netflix has ever made. And I cannot wait for season 2. Doesn't mean it's perfect. And I don't think nothing is perfect.
This is where I was going to say.
Because I don't have it. Well, let me finish real quick. Because I don't think that S's are perfect. I don't claim they are. Because I don't like the way the Corinthian story ended. I thought episodes 7 and 8 kind of went a little bit on the slower side as they were building up that story. But all in all, this was a fantastic show that I am so excited to watch.
So you're saying S maybe gets a little more of the personal into it, which we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But I was dancing between A and S. Obviously, I knew that you were super excited about the show and you loved it, and your energy went on to me. But so visually, I thought the camera angles and the cameras and the CGI were difficult for me. I think my eyes took a minute to adjust, like 2 to 3 episodes.
I didn't even mention that.
I believe that they crammed as we talked in the beginning, they put too many good stories in the 10 episodes that we wanted a season of this. I wanted John to be the villain, but so bad.
You're describing an S to me.
No, oh God,
Too many good episodes?
No. Too many good stories they cut short. John's story could have been more. We barely got to see him. Now he's a psychopath and a murderer, yes. I agree. Corinthian was cut short. I think, yes, Dream is all-powerful, and Dream created Corinthian. I get that. So, I don't know. There was just a lot to it. The Rose story came... I did enjoy how they wrapped Unity, her great-grandmother, back in from the 100 years ago, and she had a life even though she slept it all, but... Which I had questions about that too, because how have you been dreaming for, let's say, 80 years or however long it's been? Well, it's been 100.
100 years.
Yeah, but I don't believe that, because here's my problem. The age and how old she was, maybe the lack of movement and the lack of anything just kept her alive longer.
Absolutely.
But then follow me, that her education wouldn't be there, her vocabulary, anything. She would have never learned anything.
But she learned all of it in her dreams.
I did.
She lived a whole life in her dreams.
I tried to convince myself of that.
And you mentioned the cinematography and the story.
I didn't really enjoy that.
That was one of the highlights for me. Every time we went to the dream, his domain, it was like so rich and colorful and like unique. And you call it fake because it's not what you're used to.
No, it was cartoony.
But
I just didn't think it had a place there.
It was so rich with character and different than what we are used to, and they painted such a good picture. And some of the scenes were done. The cinematography was fantastic. I just could not...
Episode 1 was a tough one. Now, I've learned you don't just give it episode 1. 2 and 3, great. You got to learn John. Fantastic. You said 7, 8 was slow. You didn't like Corinthian's end. He seemed so much more powerful, but they all just quaked at the presence of Morpheus. And
you would too at your creator.
Rose, I feel like up till at the end, I couldn't tell you what a vortex was because I don't think they introduced it properly. I don't think we knew what it was supposed to be, but everybody was terrified of it. Now, I can't disagree. Like I said, I was between an A and an S. If we put in the personal things, yeah, I'm excited for season 2. I would like to see a season strictly on certain things to build. There was a lot of characters Constantine, where'd she go? There's a lot more things that I think they just opened up too much all at once for, what we were supposed to take in, because I'm glad they wrapped Lucifer back up in the last episode.
I would have agreed if Neil, who created the series, didn't have a hand in this. And I was comfortable enough in the direction of the storytelling in each arc and each character in a season 1 that if he's comfortable enough with the adaptation, then I am too. Yes, we would like more John. Yes, we would like more of these stories that were brought out. But that, to me, is just evident of how good of a story they were. If by the end of the story, you go, wait, I wanted way more of that, that's great. That you were sold on that. You were invested in, you had interest in seeing things develop and furtherly go down whatever avenue they would go down if it had 10 or 11 episodes.
You ever think too much of good things is too much? Like if you eat a piece of a cake versus a whole cake.
So that's why. So that's why they could have only introduced 1 or 2 characters and then fully fleshed them out.
Yeah, they handed you 4 slices of cake and said, try to eat it all.
Bookmark these people. They're coming back.
I don't know.
We're going to introduce them. I would have liked more Desire. I would have liked.
You're right. There's another question
more Death.
Of Desire.
I would have liked more Constantine. I would have liked more Lucifer.
A lot of would-haves.
Yeah. And in spite of that, what we did get, to me, was everything I want a season 1 to be. Everything.
I'm perfectly fine. Like, I will, for the sake of our board, I will give it, I will lean to S. Because I thoroughly enjoyed Death, thoroughly enjoyed the Time Traveler. I liked John. I did like them. I just wanted more. And like we said, Pat now.
Speaking about that cake, he's coming to the back for. Anybody got any more of that cake?
Right.
Anybody got any more cake?
But I have a half piece finished here that's going to go bad by next season. I have a half finished piece here and lazy.
I
got one from a local bakery
bad.
and I got one from a grocery store that was pre-made.
I just don't think
there's the difference.
Any of those cakes are going bad by season 2.
And he is creating another nightmare. I'm interested in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
me too.
But if he is that powerful, he can only now fight his own people. I think they gave too much power to Rose.
There's other gods.
Yeah,
we're not even introduced to all of them yet.
Right. There's a chunk.
I think Destiny is another one, or correct me if I'm wrong.
He
but
spoke about a bunch of them.
There's a few of them that we haven't even seen once, let alone the 1 or 2 screen time that Desire had.
And 100 years is long, but he's up and running, and I like his attitude. He's a better, I'll say, person.
His growth through the season was tangible, and I believed his growth. So for all those reasons, man,
it's getting an S. I think that's it. Just because like I said, I want to come back and we can have these kind of discussions. There's just so much that you could say. Like, I'm just getting nitpicky now at this point. I think an S in my world is like an S. Not just.
Yeah, we have different definitions for what S means,
but
really.
We're good enough people, and we're big enough gentlemen here that we can. I can step aside, and this will go on our S tier for sure.
Guys, that was Netflix's adaptation of Sandman. Well, it was really good.
Yeah, definitely worth a watch.
Both of us really can't wait for season 2.
No, not at all.
Netflix has another banger.
Surprisingly, I think they've had like a lull for a little while. But
no, they got Stranger Things. They got
which I'm still watching. Don't hate me. I started
they have this,
too late.
And they have Umbrella Academy. Right now, those 3 are just in the top of watch lists.
All right.
And Netflix, keep them coming. As always, like, comment, and subscribe if you like what we're doing around here. And we will see you on the next episode of Layman's Review.